The Arizona night was thick with silence, broken only by the soft hum of tires rolling across a deserted highway. A silver sedan cruised steadily through the darkness, its headlights cutting clean lines through the shadows. Inside sat an older woman, her hands firm on the wheel, her mind still replaying the intense briefing she'd just left behind. Her name was Clara Rivera, a senior investigator with the Department of Justice. She had spent over 30 years fighting for integrity in law enforcement. She held officers accountable, exposed cover-ups, and dismantled corruption. She had built a reputation that reached across state lines, across departments, and across agencies. Clara had seen the worst that power could bring out in people, but nothing could have prepared her for what would unfold that night. Out of nowhere, red and blue lights exploded behind her in the rearview mirror. Her first reaction was confusion. She checked her speed, exactly 65 miles per hour. No swerving, no traffic violations, no reason at all to be stopped. Still, she signaled and gently pulled onto the shoulder. Her hands stayed visible on the wheel. She had nothing to hide. She'd been pulled over before. Usually a quick check followed by a nod of respect once they saw her badge. But something felt wrong this time. She watched the cruiser behind her. The officer didn't approach immediately. He lingered, adjusting something, moving slow, too slow, like he had time to waste, like he wanted her to stew. Clara adjusted her mirror. Finally, the driver's side door opened and a tall man stepped out. She didn't recognize him. That wasn't surprising. She didn't know every cop in Arizona, but something about him was off. His shoulders were too stiff, his walk was too forced, and his hand hovered far too close to his weapon. The beam of his flashlight swept across her windshield before landing directly on her face and holding there just a second too long. She rolled her window down slightly. "Good evening, officer," she said calmly. No response, just a flat demand, license and registration. No explanation. No reason. Just cold authority. Clara kept her tone even. "May I ask why I'm being stopped?" she said. The officer didn't answer. He only repeated his demand. That sinking feeling in her stomach began to deepen. Something was definitely wrong. "I'm reaching for my purse on the passenger seat," she warned. No reaction. Slowly she picked up her wallet, pulled out her driver's license and her federal badge and held them out. The officer didn't take them. His eyes flicked down at her DOJ credentials, then back to her face. "Department of Justice, huh?" "Yes, sir," she replied. He took half a step back, then said, "Step out of the vehicle." The words weren't loud, but they were sharp. Clara blinked once. "Excuse me," she said. "Step out." His voice now had a harder edge, and his hand moved even closer to his holster. Clara had followed protocol. She had identified herself. She had done everything right. And still this man was treating her like a criminal. Her heart stayed steady, but her mind raced. If she complied, she was at his mercy. If she refused, he might escalate. She'd read too many reports with endings like that. He reached for her door handle. Clara snapped into action. Her left hand grabbed the interior handle and yanked the door shut before he could open it. "Sir, step back," she said. "You are outside of protocol." He didn't move. His hand stayed tight on the handle. "I said step out of the car." "On what grounds?" Clara asked. For the first time, the officer faltered. His mouth opened like he was searching for a reason. Instead of answering, he leaned in closer. "I don't have to explain myself to you." "Actually, you do," Clara replied, but he ignored her. "Lady, I don't care who you work for." That was the moment it all became clear. This wasn't about law. It wasn't about a traffic stop. This was about power and intimidation. He wanted her afraid. But Clara Rivera didn't know fear. "Call your superior," she said. "See if he feels the same." That set him off. His hand slammed the roof of her car with a loud bang. "I said get out." Clara glanced at his nameplate, R. Lanson. She memorized it. Her hand twitched toward her phone, but she stopped herself. Any quick movement, and this would turn violent. She kept her hands in view and fixed him with a calm stare. "You're making a mistake, Officer Lanson." He chuckled. "The mistake was thinking you could pull rank on me." Before Clara could respond, another set of headlights appeared behind Lanson's cruiser. Another patrol car, red and blue lights. For a moment, Clara felt hope. A second officer might bring clarity, accountability. But when the new officer stepped out, her hope vanished. No nameplate, no words, just a quiet approach and a blank expression. A partner, not backup. The second man walked up beside Lanson. "Problem here?" he asked. Just a non-compliant driver, Lanson replied. The second officer turned to Clara. Ma'am, step out of the vehicle. Not investigator, not even miss. Just ma'am. Clara's jaw tightened. She knew she was in danger now. I need to call this in, she said. I have that right. Lanson sneered. I don't think you understand how this works. The second officer stepped closer. She could hear it in his voice. The certainty, the threat. This was no longer a stop. It was an ambush. She moved. Not out of the car, but toward the emergency flashlight wedged between the seats. In one swift motion, she grabbed it and swung up hard, connecting with Lanson's wrist just as his hand reached for his gun. He shouted in pain, stumbling back. She didn't wait. She slammed her door open, catching the second officer in the chest. He staggered backward. She stepped out and drove her knee into Lanson's gut, forcing him off balance. His radio crackled. She didn't listen. The second officer lunged. Clara spun and used his momentum against him, slamming him into the hood of her car. One sharp twist, and she ripped his radio from his belt. This is Investigator Clara Rivera, she said into the mic, breathless but steady, badge number 71854. Officers Lanson and one unmarked accomplice have attempted an unlawful detainment. Immediate assistance required. A gun clicked behind her. Lanson, back on his feet, weapon raised. Drop it, he snarled. His eyes were wild, his grip on the gun shaky. The radio was still live. Dispatch copies that Investigator Rivera said, a calm voice. State troopers en route ETA 2 minutes. Lanson hesitated. He looked down the road. 2 minutes. Not long, but long enough. Clara held her ground. You don't want to do this, she said. Whatever you thought this was, it ends here. His jaw clenched. His grip wavered. He moved, not toward her, toward the fallen gun on the ground. Clara kicked it away under her car. He barely turned before her fist slammed into his jaw. He dropped like a rock. The second officer tried to rise. Clara kneed him in the ribs and wrenched his arm behind his back. Trooper sirens screamed in the distance. Flashlights appeared. Orders shouted. Hands where we can see them. Lanson, dazed, bleeding, raised his hands. The second man whimpered on the ground. Troopers swarmed in, securing both of them. Rivera, one asked, her eyes widening in recognition. You okay? I'm fine, Clara said. But these two, they've got a lot to answer for. She stepped back, her adrenaline still pumping, her hands steady. Lanson looked up at her from the ground, hate burning in his eyes, but he said nothing, because he knew it was over. Clara Rivera had faced the worst of law enforcement corruption across the country, but tonight it wasn't a report, it wasn't a case file, it was personal. And she won. Share this story if you believe justice still matters. And if you want more powerful true stories like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. See you in the next one.